Good afternoon, y'all. Today we are going to be installing a Rev SS single speed pump. And well, why don't you tag along with me and see what we run into today with this installation. All right, so this is what we're working with. This is the one we'll be swapping. Plumbing is very tight, so we'll have to figure something out here. As you can see, there's not too much space, but we'll get it done. Just make sure our filter pump doesn't kick on. All right, so it's currently 12, let's say 12:20. I'm gonna try to time myself here and see how long this installation takes. First things first, we're gonna cut off this old pipe, cut this out, and then go from there. Now we're gonna remove electrical. You got some leverage on here. Test for electricity before we stick our hands in here. Nothing there. Nothing there. All right, we're good to go. It's upside down. See how this new one is gonna fit in here. All right, so what I'm seeing right now is that our pump doesn't align here. Kind of goes this way, and I'm not really sure if I want to mess with this this side plumbing here. So I think what I'm going to do is use a 45 to kind of get us. This would be way too tight here because we still have to put our unions right here, so we don't have enough space. We're probably gonna have to cut here and then use an inside coupler. It's really the only thing we can do. This one will go like that. Our unions here. All right, so to find out truly how much space we're gonna need between here specifically, we need to glue everything here together. I'm not sure if you noticed, but the glue didn't really stick onto the coupler, so we need to see what's going on. It's not really sticking to our pipe. This happens sometimes when there's water in the fitting still. This looks good on this side. The way the coupler went in, it went in way too easy. Don't really like how it went in right there, but we're gonna see if it holds pretty well, and then we'll see what we gotta do from there. Let's glue the next section. All right, next section. Try to line it up. There we go. Yep. All right, so before we start gluing up here, we're gonna go ahead and hook up our electrical while we still have freedom from the pump. And once we do that, now we can focus on actually gluing the pump in place. Here we go. Three cables made it through. Now hopefully you can see this, but our pump here is dual voltage, so right now it's set to 230 volts. You can flip it the other way and it can work with 115 or 120 volt circuits as well. Now we've got a double pole breaker here, and this tells us that there's two hot lines going that way. But if we want to verify, and you should always verify either way, you take your multimeter, you turn the circuit on, and then you test over there your lines. We'll go ahead and do that. Should have power over there, so just be very careful. Multimeter says 238, so we've got 240 volts. So we'll just leave the pump how it's currently set at 230. We're good to go with plugging everything in. Gonna make this a little bit longer here on our ground. Go with 230 240 volt circuits. It doesn't matter which leg goes on which. Where it would matter would be on a 120 volt circuit, because usually for those circuits we do have a designated connection for our hotline and a designated connection for our neutral. Electrical is done now. Now we can go ahead and take care of plumbing. Again, it's very tight. We're touching against this on this side. So let's try to figure out the best way to do this. All right, so the good thing is that we have unions here, but even with unions, you still have to make sure you leave enough space. So when one day you do remove the union, you have space to pull the pump out. So we're gonna actually come a little bit closer here. So I'm thinking this is enough space between here and here. So we'll just cut a piece of pipe that fits right in between here. Let's do that. Last time I didn't use these pipe cutters, pipe shears, but lets you make cuts and make clean cuts at that. What you avoid when using the pipe cutter rather than the hacksaw is all the white pieces of plastic that come off whenever you're cutting pipe. So it's a lot cleaner job. Now the only thing with these is I would never recommend to use it with old pipes. So I would never use it on any of these pipes that are already in this system, because usually you won't get a cut. Rather what will happen is it will just break the pipe. It won't even cut it, because these pipes have been in the sun so long they become brittle, and it's something you can't compare with new pipes. So never use on old PVC. This glue is pretty thick here. Probably be the last time we use this can, and it's a new can. There we go. All right, now let's work on the top side. Going back to old pipes, so we'll be using our hacksaw. Now we're not in the best situation here for plumbing, but we got to do what we got to do. I'm going to cut right here, put this 90 here, we're going to go up, and then we're going to create a connection up here. Let's see if it's going to slide on here correctly. So our 90 barely fits through this space here, but it does fit. I can get it on there, but it does fit, as you can see. Now we're gonna come up and we're gonna make our connection here. So let's prime everything up here. Prime this up again here. Now let's add our glue. There we go. All right, so kind of planning what we're gonna do here. This one's gonna go all the way in like that. This one's gonna go somewhat like that, and then we're gonna have a pipe coming out of here, and we can do this connection like that. sure it's straight. Yep. Now we can use one of these right here and just cut a piece of pipe to glue both of these together. Or we can use this one's called a sweep street, and that would fit in here. And then all we would need to do is cut a piece of pipe here, put that there, and another piece of pipe here. Now when doing these types of connections, this top part is always going to be our last part, as we're going to have something assembled that's pretty much just going to bring down like this, come down like this, and assemble like that. Boom. But you'll see it in a second. For now, we're gonna go ahead and cut the pipe that goes right here and try to line it up with the same height as this. 5 inches of pipe around there. All right, right there's pretty good. Both of these are gonna sit in here, so now we just need to figure out how much PVC we need in between here. Yep. All right, so what we'll do is we're gonna join these 2 fittings along with this pipe. Now the other side. All right, now this side we're gonna do this, and to make sure it's nice and flat, I'm gonna put it against a flat. We just wanna make sure this is straight. And that's why we use a flat surface, to try to push it down and get it to level. And this is where it's super important that this length was a correct measurement. Otherwise this won't sit correctly. But we're good right there. And get these 2 sides. I'm gonna set my camera down for a second. Check this out. Now we're gonna push down. All right, so everything has been glued. We're just gonna start picking up all our stuff here. And then the last thing we have to do is hook up our bond wire. I forgot that when we were doing the electrical back there and hooking everything up, but we'll hook that up here in a second. All right, we're gonna use this 90-degree adapter to tighten that bond wire, which we have here, back here. All right, there we go, it's good. All right, now we'll just fill our pump up and start it up. Where's our... All right, there we go. Let's try it out. All right, so one thing I am noticing is that there's quite a bit of air bubbles in here, and well, easy way to figure this out is by turning our pump off just like we did in a previous video. And I already did this, so it's coming from right here. It's coming from right here. So we'll take this union off, lube it up, and tighten it back up. That's probably what was happening, is right there. So let's go ahead and lube it up. All right, so I lubed up both O-rings. All right, so pretty huge difference now that we see here. Nothing compared to earlier where we had a bunch of bubbles here on top. So that was our issue right there. All right, we're all done here. The time is 1:40, so it took us an hour and 20 minutes to complete this job. All right, so there we have it, another job well done. And I did want to apologize because while editing this video, I noticed my camera wasn't completely angled right, but we'll do better next time. So thank you for watching the video.